Kenny Atkinson for their open coaching gig. LA has also been in touch with several other candidates, but Bill Plaschke mentioned in an interview that the Purple and Gold would also be interested in bringing Doc Rivers back to Los Angeles if the Sixers move on from him this season. Shannon, would hiring Doc be a good idea for your Lakers or a bad idea?
But I'm just trying to figure out why, though, Skip. Why would the Lakers think this would be a good idea?
So you're saying it's a bad idea?
I don't even know why it's even an idea. Because, if you look at, okay, what happened with the Clippers? Had a 3-1 lead, they blew that. Last year, the number 1 seed, they lose to the 8 seed after being up 2-1 against Atlanta. So you would say those teams are underachieved. By any indication. Now, when he got on his little soapbox a couple of weeks ago, Skip, he was talking about, look at those teams that I had in Orlando. Nobody would have thought that they would do that. Okay, I give you that. Maybe you were overachieving at the time, but you didn't look at it that when you had that 3-1 lead on Detroit. And you ain't mentioned nothing about the players that you had weren't very good. Doc has gotten a lot of mileage, Skip, out of that championship that was 14 years ago.
It was.
And that's when it was, 14 years ago.
And he was coaching against?
Who was coaching against?
When he won his championship, he coached against whom?
Oh, he was coaching against a lot of teams. He's been in the league 17 years.
But when he won the championship 14 years ago, his rival in that...
Oh, with the Cavaliers.
Well, no. I'm talking about Doc. Are you talking about Doc's championship back in 08?
Oh, the Lakers.
He was coached against Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he coached against him again and lost. So he beat him in 6 games, and he lost to Phil Jackson in 7 games.
Right.
So who's the primary advisor to Jeannie Buss? Phil Jackson. You don't think Phil is whispering in her ear, let's go get Doc?
But let me ask you a question.
Because he's living in the past, because he coached against him, and he obviously gained much respect for Doc at that point. Now, Doc had some firepower.
Yeah, he had two. Well, he had three top 75 players with Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and KG.
All right.
But my thing is, Skip, who doesn't think that Doc, the last 2 years, have underachieved? Now, it remains to be seen how this season plays out. Now, he's not the favorite. The Miami Heat are the number 1 seed. So if he were to lose that game, Skip, I guess he could say, well, Joel Embiid does need to have thumb surgery. He does have a fractured orbital. He's been dealing with a bad back the last month of the season. And y'all saw James Harden. It's not James Harden. So I guess you could give him an excuse.
You could.
But, Skip, being up 3-1 and losing on several occasions, not just this last year in L.A., he had 2 3-1 leads in L.A. and lost them. And
had 3 total, which is the record.
Right.
Okay.
And being a number 1 seed, losing to an 8 seed, when you clearly had the best player on the court. You had 2 of the 3 best players. You had Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid versus basically Trae Young. And you lost Game 7 on your home court.
You did.
So for me, Skip, look, I like Doc. Doc understands. Doc is very good with the media because he worked in the media. So Doc knows how this thing goes. And when you friendly with the media, Skip, more times than not, guys will speak glowingly about you and say, you know what, I think he'd be great for the job. But I'm in Mark Jackson's corner. I'm going to ride with Mark Jackson. I understand. Kenny Atkinson, I thought he got a raw deal in Brooklyn.
He did.
Because trying to coach that one guy, we'll talk about him a little later with Sean Mark, we'll talk about, it ain't easy.
Nope, it's not.
And I think anybody that's ever coached him would tell you, it ain't easy. But for me, nah, I'm on Mark Jackson. I'm on Mark, look, and sometimes, Skip, it takes the second time around for you to have success. Especially, I know football and basketball is different, Skip, but if you noticed, a lot of these coaches, they're better the second time around.
We'll start with Belichick.
Yeah, everybody ain't gonna, Skip, everybody ain't gonna be Steve Kerr. Everybody can't be Steve Kerr. Everybody can't be Pop. But normally when you have a transcendent player, a historic player, Pop did have Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
Right out of the box, he had them.
Damn.
Right.
And Steve Kerr did inherit Steph Curry.
He did.
And Clay and Draymond, all these guys are going to be Hall of Famers.
Who had been taught by Mark Jackson.
So for me, look, I love Doc, and I think Doc will be great, but I don't know if he'll be great for the Lakers.
Operative words you just spoke. You love Doc. I love Doc because I love to be around Doc. Doc is really a good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Doc is fun to be around. Doc is fun to talk to because he's smart, he's plugged in, and off the record, he is even better than on the record because he will just spill. And he's so smart and engaging about, he has such insight into why players are great or not so great.
Right.
So I'm starting to wonder if I've lost my objectivity on Doc as a pure basketball coach, results-oriented basketball coach, because I just like the heck out of it.
Right.
I like to play for him. I like to coach with him. You know, I like to be his assistant.
Right.
Because it'd be fun to be around him day to day. I think the Laker brass thinks the same thing. Doc would be fun to have around. Doc would be easy to get along with.
Right.
Doc would be more willing and open to suggestion from Phil Jackson and Kurt Rambis on high, right?
Yes.
They could go down after the game and kick back and put their feet up on the table and kick it around with Doc.
Right.
Maybe we should not play Russ in the fourth quarter anymore. Yeah, you're probably right.
Right.
Because Doc would be, I think, at this stage of his career, a little more amenable to those suggestions.
Because, Skip, this is what I feel. This is what I believe. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, I do what you ask me to do, and it doesn't go well. I'm going to get fired for doing it your way. How do I live with myself and say, well, damn, if I was going to get fired, at least let me do it my way in the process of getting fired? And Mark Jackson's like, hold on. If this thing doesn't work out, I've done it your way. I've sacrificed myself, and the end result still was the same. So if I'm going to get fired, I'll be damned if I ain't going to get fired, do it in my way.
I'm telling you, Mark Jackson burned the bridge between him and Warriors management and ownership.
Yeah.
He just flat out told them, I coach this team, and I do it my way, and I don't want to hear a peep out of any of you. No suggestions. And it just flamed out and fell completely apart because he is his own man, for which I have the highest respect.
Right.
And he knows basketball and can teach young players how to play the game the right way.
Right.
The harder way. He can instill a defensive mindset in players that are all offensively oriented. That's what he did with those young Lakers.
Right.
We have to defend first. And they all accepted it, and he instilled in them all the right values on how to win ultimately a championship.
Right.
And Steve Kerr said, thank you.
Right.
I got this.
Yes.
And he was, you said this before, but he was the one from the start saying, I got two guys, they're going to go down as the two greatest shooters. The two greatest shooters?
Exactly.
Yes, the two greatest shooters ever. Really? Yeah, he was right.
Well, Skip, when you get guys that buy into a situation, it's easy, even if that guy were to leave, there's a transition. It's kind of like the Tampa. Tampa had a nice young defense. They just needed somebody to get what's the defensive coordinator name, Skip? I forget his name. Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, who took over.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But, Skip, they had a young nucleus. They just needed somebody on the other side that wouldn't turn the ball over and make them play extra snaps.
Well, they just need a leader.
So now, Skip, I don't have to play an extra 10, 15 snaps. I'm fresher. So Golden State is like, okay, defense is how we got Steph, we got guys can shoot, but we got to stop the other team from scoring too. They were better than people really thought they were defensively because they didn't really have a 7'2" guy that was swatting everything away. They didn't really have a Tony Allen, even though before he got injured, Clay was a very good defender.
Okay. I still think, as much as I like your suggestion about Mark Jackson, I don't think he and LeBron would get along great. And I know for a fact he would not suffer the dysfunction in the front office above him for more than about a day. So it doesn't feel like a great fit, even though if I could just do it in a vacuum on the basketball court, I'd be good with that. But I'm not sure.
But I think, Skip, I think the thing is that we're selling that you learn from your mistakes. You learn some of the things that you did wrong the first time around, and so you don't repeat that same thing. You're like, okay, maybe I don't need to be as harsh. I don't need to be as strict or as defiant in this situation.
I got it. Well, I remind you, it's been 8 years since he coached. Yeah. 8 years. And yet they did interview him. But now this coaching search by your Lakers is getting comical to me because every day they announce, we've asked for permission to talk to Kenny Atkinson. And, of course, it was Darvin Ham, and it was Adrian Griffin, and then it was Terry Stotts, and they did talk to Mark Jackson, and on and on. I think they're going to interview you tomorrow to see if you're interested.
But, Skip, if you look at it, look at some of the names. Look at Willie Green. I mean, ain't nobody really thought about no Willie Green, and then he did a hell of a job. Sometimes you got to be willing to take risks. Everybody just want to go get the name. Well, he's been a coach for 25 years. Let's just go get him. Give some of these other guys an opportunity.
Well, maybe it's Darvin Ham, because all I've heard for 5 years is he's ready, and nobody's taking the plunge.
And Skip, look at Monty Williams. Look at his first stint, and now look at him now.
Yeah.
You learn.
Okay, I got it. But I do believe that Phil, I'm reading the tea leaves here, I'm pretty sure he's pushing for Doc. I'm also pretty sure Doc is going to be unemployed very quickly here.
If they lose this, I do believe you're right. If they lose this series, I believe that Doc's going to be.
Especially if they lose tonight.
Right.
I think that will be the end of that deal. And that's fine. And you can justify that he should be fired.
Yeah.
That he hasn't shown enough results, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But would Jeannie enjoy working with him? You better believe she would.
But think about it, Skip. They had an opportunity to have Monty Williams.
They did.
They had an opportunity to have Ty Lue.
They did.
But like she said, she wanted it to be business as usual.
Yep.
If you do the same things, you'll get the same result.
Okay. Well,
You put sugar in water, it's still sugar water.
okay, but
you got to add
you
flavor to
give
make
her
it Kool-Aid.
this. And I think it was a Phil recommendation. Phil liked Frank Vogel, and Frank Vogel won you a championship.
Yeah.
I don't know if he gets credit for winning it, but he was the coach of a championship
Because
team.
what was he willing to do? Okay, they interviewed Jason Kidd. Okay, with Jason Kidd, you got to be your sister. Okay, this guy also got to be on the staff. And okay, and that guy got to also be on the staff. So now, Monty Williams like, hell nah. I'm coming in here to coach. You're not finna fill my staff for me. Ty Lue said, nah.
Same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Jeannie, you keep saying it's going to be business as usual. Okay, do you want a different result or not? Because if you do the same things over and over, you're probably going to get the same results.
Are you interested?
Nah, I'm good.
Are you?
Nope.
I think you could do it because LeBron might actually listen to you.
Oh, you listen to Unc now.
Yeah, would he? Yeah.
They listen to Unc.
Yeah, for
Never
about a
a
minute.
lack of drama when we're talking about the LA Lakers, gentlemen.